All right, good afternoon. This is your instructor, Peter Olson. I'm taking a look at the week 2 discussion, give you some feedback on your logo icon sketches. A lot of good work here. So we're going to start off with Willie. Willie, I think I gave you some feedback earlier on Osiris Coffee. I liked number 2 as an option, also number 5. It's really hard to see these sketches because they're on heavy graph paper and they're sort of cropped a bit. And then I think number 7 is one that you should take to the next step in Illustrator and add a logo type to those and see how they come out. I'm anxious to see what you're doing. Next up, we got Jared. Jared, you picked um, Big Red Chili, and looks like you got a lot of sketches, a lot of good ideas, so that's great. When I look at these, the ones that kind of jump out to me are number 9, which is sort of the chili character, which is kind of fun. Number 12 is sort of the same thing. Um, I think the fire with the cooking chili it could be, if you execute it right, it could be kind of romantic, interesting. So that's potential. And then number 15, I gotta look at what that was. Number 15 was cowboy hat with a chili bowl on it. Yeah. Maybe if the cowboy hat was the chili bowl, that could be something. That might be your third one. Some of these others are just sort of visual explorations, like a steer head and cowboy with a handkerchief hat, something, but they're not really icon ideas. Um, so consider number 9 and number 15 if it was the chili bowl with that, and then maybe number 19 if you can sort of make that feel sort of romantic and interesting. Next up, we got Nicole. And Nicole, I did give you feedback on this. You had several Olympic rings, which I wouldn't do. I kind of thought maybe this diner cup, if you can sort of turn it into an interesting illustration, it might be the thing. Also, I really like this torch with the bean. I thought that was a potential. The third one, perhaps the coffee bean sort of uh, on a metal like that. I think that that's got some interest too. So that would be number 5, number 8, and number 9. Next up, we've got Nicholas. Nicholas. Nicholas did something that some of you didn't, which is he made JPEGs from his InDesign file and posted them in the discussion. It's a lot easier to see them as opposed to making a PDF where you have to go to another screen. And don't do screenshots because then you have all the guides in there and it's unnecessary. Just export as a JPEG. All right. So Nicholas, you've got Black Sea chocolate, and you've done some research on Ukraine, I assume. The ship jumps out. That's interesting. The swan, I'm not quite sure how that relates to the Black Sea, but that could be something kind of interesting. Um, and then this one, which is kind of the sea of chocolate, sort of Willy Wonka goes mariner. I like that. So number 10, number 5, and number 2, I think are your best options. Oh wait, there's more. Sorry. Um, yeah, the trident's kind of nice too. The Ukrainian egg with waves on it, that's definitely interesting. So I would pick that over maybe, I don't know, you've got the ship, the swan. Yeah, probably. All right, so I'm revising this. Number 2, number 5, and number 17, maybe number 10 as well. So you pick among those 4 which 3 you want to really pursue. And you did more. Awesome. This is great stuff, Nicholas. See, now you have some sort of ordinary things, but you have a lot of ideas as well because you really pushed it. So good job on that. Next up, Abigail. You got Café de Provence, the coffee of the French provinces, and it looks like you have. I'm not getting all of them. Darn it! It's because the server is not working great. All right, I'm going to read some of these. So, uh, I wouldn't do a word mark that focuses on the name. Cups of coffee are kind of ordinary. Eiffel Tower is very sort of urban, and this is sort of country more. Um, yeah, you did a lot of word marks, it looks like. I would focus on sort of the gourmet aspect of this and perhaps a little more sort of French country provincial type things. Um, Unfortunately, it's not loading, so I can't see everything. Um, I hope that gives you some direction, and I will try to check back later and see if we can see that. All right, Zachary, you got Layla's Fair Trade Coffee, and here are your icons. Um, so this is from North Africa. You've got the L on a coffee cup. This looks like a map of Africa with a cup and a bean and an L. This looks like a cup with the Africa floating in it. This is a cup with a sort of African maybe pattern there. This is a map of Africa made out of coffee beans. This one looks like an L, but also a cup, perhaps. Same thing here. This one is a cup with a ring around it. This has a map of Africa with a coffee bean, and I'm not sure what the difference is here. These two look very similar. Um, Here's some other sketches. So you kind of worked from the word mark, it looks like, maybe. Uh, these are all just sort of abstract shapes. I'm not really getting what the icons are, so let's see. You said, barista sprout. Spout, sorry. Uh, yeah, all right. So the maps are kind of tough to work with. I mean, Africa is probably a better one than most, but if you have one sort of map idea, and maybe it's with the bean in the middle, I would say that check that off. That's done. I wouldn't use coffee cups so much, um, but you have an opportunity here. Perhaps, well, who's the Layla character, or you know, the bold Arabian L. Let's see. Yeah, skip the letters. You have a lot more to work with. There's interesting Arabian, North Africa symbolism, imagery, patterns, things like that. Um, yeah, you got deep into it with the fonts from, yeah. So I'm not sure. This one almost looks like lips. Perhaps that has something to do with it. Maybe a little more romantic, something like that. Um, what I will say is I'm not seeing these jump out as like, wow, that's a great icon, but perhaps you can convince me by pulling the best one of these and using it in Illustrator. I would use one of these in Illustrator, this one perhaps. Um, and I would consider maybe a character of some type, Layla, the character, what does she look like, or something like that. So you put a lot of work into this, and I appreciate that. So if you disagree with me on any of these, show me, go ahead and work it up in Illustrator and convince me otherwise. But that's what I see, so I hope that's helpful. All right. Kirsten, Kirsten, you had Pacific Coast Orchards. Here are the fields and the rainbow, and it's all on a fruit. I love that. That's one of your sketches for sure. The wave on a fruit, that's also pretty good, I think. And perhaps this number 10, that kind of jumps out at me as something interesting to look at. So you've got number 1, number 8, and number 10, which I think are worth pursuing to the next level. So good job there. All right, Sahara. All right, this is Brainiac Coffee. So interesting. This is a old style floppy disk with, but as a cup of coffee. I like it. It's weird. I like it. Number 10 for sure. That jumps out. I love that. Um, let's see. Your third one. Some of these are a little complex, perhaps. Um, but the beaker with the coffee bean. Now that could be interesting. I like the bow tie too. Well, you got a couple of other options, but I'd say 1 and 10, perhaps 5 or 6, maybe 7. So your choice among those. You gave yourself a lot of good options. So good thinking on this, Sahara. Uh, and wait, there's more. The protractor, the pocket protector. Um, yeah, this is a good one too. Number one here. Um, the coffee bean, not so much. The elemental formula, perhaps. You could turn that into an icon. Um, so I think you've got several contenders. 1, 10, please do that for sure. 5, this one, number 1, this one, number 5, are all good options. So have fun with that. That's really good work. All right. Next up is Laura. You did Salty Dog, the sea salt caramel. So here's a compass rose. Here is the Salty Dog with his showing off his anchor tattoo. This one looks like a paw with a wave in it. Here he is, a pirate with a handkerchief over his head and a patch on his eye. The crossed swords, perhaps that's a treasure. Let's see, what do we say? Yes. Number 5 is the pirate flag. All right. This one looks like sort of a nautical piece of candy, perhaps. I don't know. This is clever. It's the anchor, but it's also the dog face. I like that. I would say number 2 for sure. Number 8 for sure. I feel like it's a toss-up between 5 and 6, so you can pick which one you like. But you have some good options. A good thinking here. You're thinking very conceptually, which is great. I can't wait to see the next step on that. All right, Douglas. Let's see. You've got Bermuda tea, very traditional tea from Bermuda. Your sketches, I hope you're using InDesign successfully, because this is not an InDesign and you're not using the template. So make sure you're able to do that. If you're having trouble, let me know as soon as possible. Let's see. We'll take a look. You have a lot of numbers here. So just what jumps out at me right away, this sort of life preserver with the tea leaf, perhaps. If you do this, I would sort of enhance the tea leaves a bit, make it maybe a couple leaves, give it a little more emphasis. The Bermuda Triangle, interesting. I'm not quite sure what's going on in the triangle, but that could work. And then looking down here, all right, you're trying to doing the timing thing, the island of Bermuda with the tea bag. All right, you're kind of going all over the lot here, but anyway, I think you've got 2 good ones here. Number 3, number 9. I would skip tea bags because those are not traditional English in any way. The flag, I'm not a fan of using flags as logos because they kind of are logos already. But something a little more traditional English. The crown here. Skip the tea bag. Something with royalty, something with British heraldry, like that could work. So if you do 3, 9, and then something with heraldry, perhaps that will work. This looks a little like a yeah. Skip the maps and flags as much as possible. Hope that's helpful. All right, that's all we see today. I hope you're all getting work done, and if you have any questions, as also reach out and contact me. I'm trying to catch up on grading last week's work. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm a bit behind schedule, so sorry about that. Just remember, use InDesign, export as a JPEG to post in a discussion, export as a PDF for the other assignments. So hope that's helpful. Talk to you soon.